Hello, you are on to the news on DBS TV. We begin in Cameroon. The Secretary General of Public Health, Halim Hayatou, has carried out an inspection visit to Douala with the aim to verify the effectiveness and the follow-up of the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. The visit took him and his delegation to the Lakentini Hospital, where the isolation center was created, a center which he affirms is operational. Besides the COVID-19 pandemic, the issue of cholera outbreak in the littoral region also brought the Secretary General to Douala, a city that is witnessing a second serious pandemic. He identified potential causes such as the fluvial nature of the city and some conditions in most neighborhoods which naturally promote the spread of cholera. After discussing with city authorities, the Secretary General said measures have been taken to ameliorate the situation, such as the sanitary conditions of the town, by working on the waste disposal strategy. The visit took the delegation to the Douala Seaport and the New Bell District Hospital. Halim Hayatou insisted at the end of his visit that the coronavirus pandemic is not yet over, calling on Douala city dwellers to respect barrier measures to curb the spread of the disease. The month of October is commemorated every year as a month for breast cancer awareness in different countries around the world. Cameroon is one of those countries where breast cancer is becoming a cause of concern, as most women get to the hospital when it is at an advanced stage. In Kongsamba, Mungo division of the littoral region, the fight against breast cancer has been embraced by the Kongsamba Regional Hospital, where October has been baptized the Pink Month, synonymous to breast cancer awareness. The hospital, led by its Director General, Dr. Fulbert Georges Mangala Nkwele, accompanied by his close associates and all the nursing staff, began a breast cancer awareness campaign on Thursday, October 15, with the objective to raise awareness of the disease and increase support for early diagnosis, treatment and palliative care. The month-long activity began with a sports walk as a major requirement for general health and well-being. The Betwa Council has provided the populations with urban transport buses for its road users. The esplanade of the East Governor's Office served as launching ground of the initiative, where the first buses went operational in the town. It was initiated by the council in partnership with a local travel agency, putting into circulation new buses. It is largely aimed at alleviating the suffering of the population in terms of transport mobility and to reduce the risk of accidents by commercial motorcycles, which have become a torment in the town of Betwa. The East Region Governor, Gregoire Mvongo, on his part, invited the inhabitants to make good use of this new modern means of urban transport. The new buses each have a capacity of 34 places and can be afforded with 100 francs CFA instead of 300 francs CFA in ordinary taxis and 500 francs with commercial motorbikes. Users will thus be able to move from one place to another in the town more easily, with more comfort and at a lower cost. As precision, it should be noted that these buses are white in color and accessible to all. Each year, over 150 countries around the world hold events to mark World Food Day, making it one of the most celebrated international, with the theme Grow, Nourish, Sustain. Together our actions are our future. World Food Day 2020 calls for more resilient and robust agri-food systems and for global solidarity, both vital for the recovery from the crisis and for the building back together. For this to be achieved, there is need for innovative solutions and strong partnerships. World Food Day comes as the world continues to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, which has exposed the weakness of our agri-food systems that threatens to push millions more into hunger. Throughout history, food has acted as a catalyst for social transformation, development and expansion. But now, food safety is becoming an important issue. Thus, the day seeks to raise awareness about the importance of good food and nutrition across the globe in different ways. This day also marks the foundation of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations that happened on October 16, 1945. World Food Day 2020 marks the 75th anniversary of Food and Agriculture Organization in an exceptional moment as countries around the world deal with the widespread effects of global COVID-19 pandemic. Like the popular saying goes, food, it's not only about nutrients and calories, it is about sharing, it is about honesty, it is about identity. Happy World Food Day! Moving to Africa, Guinea's presidential election due to take place on Sunday, October 18. The main opposition candidate, Cellou Dalein Diallo, arrived in the capital Conakry on Thursday ahead of this weekend's election, greeted by hordes of animated supporters. After about a week of combative campaigning, the 82-year-old president himself returns to the capital on Wednesday amidst heightened political tensions in the West African state. 12 candidates are contesting Sunday's election in total. However, most think only Condé and Diallo are serious candidates. The outcome of Guinea's poll is likely to echo off course, kicking off a string of elections this year across West Africa. Clashes between Condé and Diallo supporters have wounded several people in different parts of the country in recent days. Rights groups are increasingly critical of Condé, whom they say is deviating towards authoritarianism. In Mali, a 3-day national mourning began Thursday morning following attacks on Tuesday on the Malian military post of Sokoura in the Mopti region. For a week now, the inhabitants of this small village have been subject to blockades by suspected jihadists. A mediation unit has been set up to try to negotiate access to the village. The commission is composed of mayors of surrounding municipalities, traditional village chiefs, as well as community and religious leaders. Some of its members explain that the barricade continues despite initial contacts made through local intermediaries. The armed men who prevent people and vehicles from entering or leaving the village are not formally identified. They have reportedly killed at least 6 people and detained 9 others for more than a week. The United Nations mission in Mali has not been able to contain the insurgents in the region. An attempt to dialogue has not been envisaged yet. Zimbabwe doctors and nurses are challenging the Ministry of Health rule, which they say tramples on their ability to leave the country. The minister last month said that healthcare workers must get official signatures to receive a certificate of good standing, a needed reference to get work abroad. A doctors group says it is an attempt to stop a mass exodus after poor treatment during the COVID-19 pandemic. After working with government officials, doctors say countless protests have not resulted in a decent salary or better working conditions. The Senior Hospital Doctors Association of Zimbabwe says its members are frustrated by delays they attribute to the government trying to curtail a brain drain during the health workers. Health personnel in Zimbabwe have long protested about poor working conditions, including inadequate personal protective equipment during the COVID-19 pandemic, but the cash-strapped nation has been unable to improve salaries or provide the needed supplies. Determined to create more employment opportunities for those who are unemployed before the COVID-19 pandemic or those who had given up searching for a job, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa announced on Friday, October 16, his vision for the country's economic growth. For a bigger and better economy, Ramaphosa said that millions of euros would be disbursed to boost the economic stimulus. This, he says, is not only designed to help the country recover from the world's strictest lockdowns, but to tackle the recession that have been struggling with even before the virus broke out. A key measure is the extension of relief gone to the country's 6 million unemployed. Another pillar comprises over 5 billion euros to build schools, sanitation and housing, as well as larger projects like ports, roads and railways. The government says it will create 800,000 jobs. However, this new aid is being added to a previous stimulus package of over 20 billion euros announced in March. Out of Africa, Kyrgyzstan's parliament has approved the transfer of presidential powers to newly elected Prime Minister Sadi Japarov after days of uncertainty and political crisis. This is caused by mass protests against results of October 4 parliamentary election that ousted the government and led to the president's resignation. At the parliament session on October 16, lawmakers also lifted a state of emergency that had been in place in the capital, Bishkek, for 5 days. Japarov, a convicted kidnapper who was released in the wake of the protest last week, was elected by lawmakers on October 14 to the post of Prime Minister. The next day, the president announced his resignation, saying that peace and unity in the country is more important than any post. The Kyrgyz constitution provides that the parliament speaker becomes acting president in case the president resigns, but the chairman of the legislature declined to assume the presidency until new elections are held. And the pandemic has disrupted an EU summit in Brussels. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has abruptly left the talks on Brexit after discovering she had been in contact with a COVID-19 infected person. The information came in few minutes after the EU summit in Brussels had begun, as she tweeted, "I have just been informed that a member of my front office has tested positive to COVID-19 this morning. I myself have tested negative. However, as a precaution, I am immediately leaving the European Council to go into self-isolation." The meeting itself was centered all around trade, including tricky negotiations on fishing rights. However, the health crisis is clearly far from being over, and the EU leaders are all aware that if they fail to agree on a deal with the UK before the December 31st deadline, the economic turmoil will only get worse. And that is the end of this edition of the news on DBS TV. Thanks for watching and stay with us for more of our programs. Goodbye.